In this week's video, I want to answer a question that I frequently get asked, which is it easier to sell a less expensive coaching program? And my answer to this question is no. and I'm going to share with you why. Okay. A lot of us think it is, and we think that what happens is we'll get the money objection when we're trying to sell our coaching program. People will say, oh, it's too expensive, or I don't know if I have that much money, or I don't have that in my budget. And a lot of coaches start to think like, oh my gosh, my prices are too high, it's too expensive, and I need to lower my prices to get more clients. And a lot of times they think I have to run a group program, or I have to run like a do it on your own program, and offer it at a lower price point in order to get those clients. And I want to talk about why this does not typically work and what's actually going on, so that you can understand this and not make the mistake of thinking, oh, if I sell a less expensive program, it's going to be easier. And I can tell you from experience, it's not, right? I've sold programs at all different price points, and it is not necessarily easier to sell a less expensive program at all. You're still going to get no's. You're still going to get the money objections. It doesn't matter what the price point is, okay? So I'm going to walk you through the things that you really want to understand to know why this is the case, okay? So the first thing is that when someone wants something bad enough, they will pay anything for it within reason, like that they possibly can. They will pay anything for it. And I think a lot of us can relate to this if there's something that we've really wanted, or a problem that we've really wanted to solve in our life, that we were willing to pay anything to solve that problem. Anything within reason, right? And I know for me, myself, I have been in that spot. There's been certain things that have happened in my life that were problems for me that I wanted to solve, and I was willing to pay anything to do it, okay? And I'm going to dive a bit into this next, because one of the big things that keeps coaches from selling their program is that they are not targeting a specific enough in a severe enough problem as far as what it is that they do and the problem that they help people solve. So when it comes to our coaching and what it is we do, you have to be solving a problem for people. People don't buy coaching just for fun. They don't buy it because they want to get healthier, just in general. They buy it because they have a certain problem they want to solve. It may be a certain health problem, or wanting to lose weight, or a certain like it could be anxiety, depression, things like that. But it's a specific problem that they are struggling with. And it's a problem that I like to call a bleeding neck problem, a problem that they aren't just going to continue living with because they can't. It's having a very negative impact on their life experience, okay? And so it has to be like that significant problem. And I was having discussion with one of my clients about this just the other day, and she wanted to help people with digestive issues. And she was going through and she was saying, some of the symptoms that people are having, like one of the big ones was fatigue, and what was maybe like bloating or gas or something like that. And she was like, how do I break this down? Like, what am I targeting? And I was saying, we want to get specific about it, but we want to think of, a lot of times people will live with digestive problems or any sort of health problems for a really long time, and they won't do anything about it. So I was saying, okay, what is the thing that person is they won't live with it anymore? They're like, I have to do something about this. And what you can do is you can reflect back on your own journey, and what was it for you that was so bad that you were like, I need to do something about this. And you actually started either making some significant changes, or maybe you went and you worked with a practitioner or a coach or something, because this problem was something that you were not willing to live with anymore. And so I gave an example of my own experience, which I think is helpful. So I am someone who had struggled with digestive issues too. And for me, the main motivator to actually fixing the digestive issues was dealing with acne that I knew was probably related to my digestive issues, right? But if it hadn't been for that, I don't know if the digestive issues were even enough to really motivate me to make changes. Maybe if I was like in, if people are dealing with, diarrhea and they're afraid of going to the bathroom in their pants in public, like that would be a big motivator, right? Like, so you got to think about like, what is like really the big motivators, and a bleeding neck problem, like a problem that this person is not willing to live with anymore. And so for me, like it was the skin issues, right? Like that was embarrassing. Like I would have paid anything. I would have paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to fix that problem. And I probably have paid thousands and thousands of dollars over the years to fix that problem, right? And so you want to think about this, like what is the thing that is going to get them off of their butt, not living with this problem anymore, and they're like, I gotta fix this, okay? That's what you wanna be targeting in your marketing. That's what you wanna be helping people with, something that's that big of a problem for them, okay? So that's a huge piece where people get stuck. As far as like not selling and thinking that the price point is the problem, it's really that they're not targeting a significant enough problem. So there's not enough motivation for people to pay for the program, okay? The other thing is not targeting people who are ready to do the work, right? So example, weight loss, right? Like there's a lot of people who want to lose weight, but they don't really want it that bad, right? They're not really willing to change their diet. They're like, it would be nice for me to lose the weight, but I'm not willing to give up any of my favorite foods that are keeping me from losing weight. Like that is not an ideal client. You do not want to be working with that person, right? You want to be working with the person that's like, I've had it, I'm done. I'm going to do anything I can to change this problem, okay? So the other thing typically happens in the sales process, and it's not addressing the real excuse and limiting beliefs, because typically people will bring up the money excuse as the excuse. Like it's always the easiest one. It's always like the first one to bring up. But what you want to do is you want to dive deeper under that and look at what's really going on. Why is this person not willing to come up with the money for the coaching? Because the thing is, if people are saying like, oh, I don't have that in my budget, nobody has money lying around in their budget for coaching. Like, why would you? Like that's not something we just have like lying around. Like you have to find that money. You have to make that money to invest in the coaching that you want, in fixing this problem, right? So you want to really get to the underlying excuses that is holding that person back from making the investment into fixing the problem, okay? Because sometimes it's that they don't really believe that you can help them. They don't really believe that they can solve the problem. They have limiting beliefs around spending money on themselves. These are the things. But like I said, if you have a problem that is significant enough and you show this person like, this is where you are right now and it really, really sucks, and this is where you could be if we work together and it's really amazing, that the value that you are providing is huge. And like I said, if it's a significant enough problem, like when I was struggling with skin issues, like I would have paid anyone anything to help me with that. Like if I had found someone who I believed could help me, like I would have paid them anything. Like I would have found the money, I would have come up with it. Like I wanted it bad enough, right? So you want to be thinking about this, and you want to be addressing people's excuses, the excuses that are holding them back from investing in themselves and investing in fixing this problem. And I have other videos where I talk about sales calls and going through that process and objections. And I'll link it below this video so you can check that out. But it's a super important thing to realize that just because people say the issue is money, a lot of times it really isn't. They may not be really believing that you can help them. They may not really be believing that they can do it themselves. You want to see like what really is going on, because if they wanted it bad enough, they would come up with the money, okay? So the other piece is not communicating enough what is possible for them if they solve the problem, okay? So this goes into your calls too. Like you really want to get into like the dream, like this is what is possible. Imagine how nice it would be. And really like understanding the value of that, okay? So if you look at where your client is now, and where your client wants to be, and as a coach, you can help them make that transition. You want to understand how valuable that is, how much it's going to change their life. And I'll go back to me as far as when I was struggling with acne and with skin issues, like it had a huge impact on my life, a huge impact on my confidence. I didn't want to leave the house some days. I was embarrassed. Like it had a huge negative impact on my life. And being able to fix that problem changed my life in many, many ways. And like I said, it was something I would have been willing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for because it had such a negative impact on my life. And now it doesn't. And I can be in the place of being like, wow, this is amazing. And it's totally worth whatever I had to invest in to fix this problem, right? Okay, so you want to recognize the value of what it is that you're having to offer and really standing behind that, really standing behind knowing how much this could change someone's life. If you invest in this, we work together, your life will be different. And not just today, but for years to come. So you have to recognize the value yourself in what it is that you're having to offer, okay? And I think a few things that are just helpful to understand as well is that when you have a higher priced program, and higher priced is totally relative, right? Like you hear people talking about premium priced programs, like a premium priced program could be like $1,500, that could be like $10,000, $30,000, like it's all kind of relative, right? So, but the more that someone is investing in something, the more skin they have in the game, and typically the better results they're gonna get. And I've seen this with programs that I've run myself. When I run a higher priced program, those people are typically more committed. They're going to show up to the calls and they're going to get better results. That isn't always the case, but it's typically the case. I've seen it very, very clearly. So if I'm offering a program at a higher price point, typically people are more invested and they're going to get better results. And the same thing is going to go for your client. And think about it this way, like how many programs have you invested in? How many things have you bought that just sit in your inbox that you never even open because maybe they weren't a very high investment? And so if you don't do it, it's not that big of a deal, right? But if you're investing something that feels like a lot, it feels like a stretch, you're like, oh my gosh, like that was a lot of money. You're going to make the most out of it. You're going to show up fully and you're going to commit to it. Okay, so it really can make a huge difference as far as the investment and the results that someone gets, okay? So all of this going back to the fact that it is not easier to sell a less expensive program, right? You want to make sure that the program you're selling is a good fit for your ideal client and that those people have the money to invest in your program, but lowering the price is not going to make your program sell easier. Like I can just promise you that. And just go back and look at all the things I talked about in this video if you need the reasons why. But ultimately, I just want you to understand that because like I said, I've learned from experience. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you get stuck in this? Do you get stuck in pricing your program and being like, oh my gosh, it's too expensive, nobody can afford it? Is this holding you back from selling your coaching services? Let me know in the comments below. And I'd love to hear if you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos just like this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell so you get notifications each week when I post a new video. And if you want to dive a bit deeper into the exact steps you can take to start making money as a health coach, I have a training that walks you through that, and I will link it below this video and you can check it out. So thank you for joining me for this week's video, and I will see you next week.